So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love Paul McGrath podcast. And wanted to really pop on because we didn't get a chance to pop on to talk about Aston Villa 0, Arsenal 2 at the weekend. Yeah, I don't even really know where to start with this one, Paddy, because I've watched the game back 1.5 times since because I was under the influence when I watched the game. So I wanted to make sure that I actually had, and I watched it with a couple. There was everywhere I seemed to look were Arsenal fans, albeit that I did meet an Aston Villa fan called Wayne, in Pucan in Galway, and shout out to him. He's from Fermoy. He was in the midst of a load of Arsenal fans on a stag. So more power to him. I hope he fought his way home. But yeah. I'm going to let you do most of the talking on this one, Paddy, because I'm going to be honest, I still haven't kind of formulated an awful lot of my thoughts from this game, even though I've watched it 2.5 times now.
Well, you've watched it 1.5 times more than I have. So I watched it live, which was enough. Enough for me to form an opinion that we are a really, really good side, and we were very unlucky that Ollie Watkins missed his 2 chances. And we could be looking at a completely different podcast, and we probably would have done a drunken podcast had those 2 Ollie Watkins chances gone in on Saturday evening. I've no doubt you would have found a quiet spot outside on Puck On to do it, and I would have found a quiet spot where I was. But what do you do?
I was on a kind of an impromptu mini stag. Was what it turned into on Saturday, and you know that the next day, and this is why we didn't get to even do a podcast yesterday. When you're sitting in a pub at 2:30 a.m. and there's a pint of gin and tonic in front of you, and I mean an actual pint glass full of it, and you're going, "Who in the name of Jesus is after getting that?" You know you ain't going to be doing any podcast the next day. So.
Well, I wasn't. I was very, very sober watching the match. I had a couple of points, but I did get drunk later on in the night, and I've had a bit of a long weekend, and I'm feeling a bit worse for wear. And I'm wearing this hat, number one, because I went to see Deck Pearce playing on Friday night, and number two, I've just been asleep on the couch, and the thoughts of going upstairs to brush my hair for a podcast was not on my radar. If I'd have gone upstairs, I probably wouldn't have come back down. So here we are. The two of us are have a dose of the TTs, I think, at this stage. Yeah. So yeah, it's a loss. But I have to say, at the time, if the pub wasn't full of Arsenal fans, it wouldn't have felt like a loss, because I felt like we offered a lot. I felt like we played very well, and I'll keep going back to them 2 chances that ultimately defined the game. Yeah. There was a couple of errors in the lead up to both of their goals, which defines the game. Odegaard should have scored a third. There's a lot of play. We've lost Matty Cash to an injury now. He'll probably be out for 4 to 6 weeks. There's a whole lot going on. There really is a whole lot going on. And
and
like, I don't know what else to say.
No, that's like, you're right. The game is actually defined, I think, for me by you're right. The Ollie Watkins misses. I think the Ollie Watkins first miss, the one he scuffs wide, which was just an absolute brutal finish. And hey, genuinely, I am the conductor of the Ollie Watkins fan bus. It's not knocking him or anything like that. Like, he kicks the ground for that first one and scuffs it wide. That for me was the chance. The header for Rhea, what a save. And everyone will say he had all the goals to aim for. Man, that goalkeeper, how he got to that ball is beyond me. That for me, you'll go a long way to find a better save.
Might be a surprise to hear now, but I don't agree with you. It was a poor header. He didn't have much to do to save that ball. He saved it. It's the one thing he did in the match, and it got him man of the match.
it literally it comes out like the keeper gets to one hand. That's an incredible save. Incredible save.
I don't agree. I don't agree. I think the way that the keeper is moving, Ollie Watkins should go the other side of him. He went to the side he was moving, and he got lucky. So that's the way I see it anyway. It was a poor miss. All of the striker schools will tell you go back where the goalkeeper is coming from to keep him.
You do, but not even header. And he had no time. Like I've for a diving header, there's no way you can go back against the goalkeeper there. Like when a ball comes to you, comes back to him at a decent pace, and he dives at the ball. You know, like probably if for me, could he have taken it down? Yeah, I think is it Saliba that was getting back at him? I think it was Saliba. Probably gets to him. Could he have tried to scissor kick it into the back of the net? He could have tried a million and one different things, I suppose, really. But what he did was he did the right thing. He absolutely did the right thing by hitting the first time. You know, he did very well to get into that position too. Because if you look at his position and when Onana hits, he makes a beeline for that space, so he gets everything right apart from the actual header itself. That's just my opinion. I can understand why you would think that it was a great save. And look, it's a tale of two goalkeepers. Then you got a good strong wrist to it, but Emi Martinez didn't for their second. Absolutely, yeah, and the reason I said that, like as I said, I felt Watkins got an unfair kicking online afterwards. I feel he got an unfair kicking, and
that's fine. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that.
There was a lot, like there was a lot of people that seemed like they were waiting in the long grass to have a pop off him. I will say majority of them non-Villa fans, and that's kind of probably that was where I was going to go after this. But look, as I say, I'll never tell anyone how to be a fan. That's not what I'd say. But you know, you can't. We will always make commentary on things that we see, and maybe things that like. Yeah, it's a case whereby the man the first chance that he missed was an absolute howler, and it was, and he will come back and he, like, even John McGinn said it best, like, this guy shot us to the Champions League last year. The year before, we would have been Wolves, only for Ollie Watkins going on a scoring run after Unai came in. You know, we were the first year Unai was in. We were Wolves with the striker. Wolves had no striker, and Wolves finished in like 12th or 13th position. Like, you go back, you look statistically, you maybe not stylistically, but you look back at it statistically. When Lopetegui was over Wolves, then they were actually a pretty decent side. They just had no one to put in the back of the net, and then we had Watkins who went on goal scoring runs. Now, does that mean we have to be nice to him forever? Probably not. But I think that, you know, like a lot of people are saying, well, I won't say a lot of people, you know, you see it, don't start Watkins next day, start Duran up top against Leicester. And there's a bit of madness in that too. You know, there's a bit of madness in that situation too, because,
and look, of the two of us, I've been the most critical of Ollie Watkins over the years. I haven't been in the last 18 months because he's a completely different player, and I'm not having a go with him, but I am saying that I felt there were two goals that he should have scored. And I think Ollie Watkins of this time last year puts the two of them away with his eyes closed. I think if Morgan Rogers gets that first attempt that Ollie Watkins got, I think if the roles are reversed there, he has the absolute confidence of nothing I've ever seen in a Villa shirt. He would have just blasted that into the roof of the net. I would have think that first opportunity, and look, it's just unlucky. I am a little bit worried about Ollie Watkins because he looks off the pace. Now, I know I did just say that he got himself into that position from after Onana's shot, but I think in general he looks a little bit off the pace, and he looks like a fella who's lacking a bit of confidence. And we know he does that from time to time. And I can't understand how, after shooting England to the final, he could be lacking in confidence, because he's like, that was probably one of the most pivotal moments of his career when he looks back in 20 years' time. So he should be in the form of his life. So I'm worried personally that he's carrying a bit of an injury, which wouldn't ultimately lead to him missing those two shots either. So I wouldn't be in the department of I wouldn't be of the idea that we should be dropping him for Leicester. because we've not seen Duran do anything from the start of any game either, as we previously alluded to. So I'm more than happy to continue with him as long as he's not injured. And I really wish we didn't have this bloody international break in a couple of weeks.
Well, and you know what? In a lot of ways, Paddy, that might be the worst thing that would happen, because like as if you look at the list of games that we have, there are teams that we can target after the international break. Albeit, look at Dean playing absolutely fine at the moment. Matty Cash is out injured. Somebody, I think Mike Brosnan might have had it there in the chat asking, well, how long is Cash out for? I think Jacob Tanswell had it today. He's been gone for a month at least anyway. It's pretty decent hamstring strain. But to get, if Villa, I would whether Villa get people over the line, I get the feeling that Villa will be busy in the next couple of days, but that doesn't always equate to signings. We'll talk about Nedeljkovic in a moment after he came on. But I think that Unai Emery would like to take that time, and I know Maatsen will probably be away with the Dutch team during the international break, but that's probably the only negative for me, is that the players that we probably need to be in and around the team will be away again, just like they were for the whole summer. And that's when it's a pivotal time for us, that we could be, we could be game planning specifically for Bournemouth and Man United to come, and I think Everton are in there as well somewhere, in Ipswich. So it's not at the best time, but I think if a couple of players could pick up maybe a couple of phantom knocks that meant they didn't have to go on international duty, I think Unai Emery would be absolutely delighted with that. But yeah,
I think we all would. I think we'd like to see the Ollie Watkins, the Esri Konzas, the John McGinns, the Ian Matsons, all of those. I'd love to see them get 3 or 4 days off, just to relax the body and get them back. But look, I would imagine Lee Carsley's going to pick the bulk of what was in Germany. I don't think there's been anyone old enough to retire from that international circuit or be left out. Or maybe there's someone he just doesn't like, or maybe he doesn't pick Dolly because he doesn't feel like he's in form. So we'll have to wait and see what that brings at the weekend. But I'd love to see Ollie break his duck for the season against Leicester rather than doing it next week versus Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely. And you never know. Lee Carsley has a free shot. Maybe he just goes away and gives 11 new caps, and maybe one of them is Morgan Rogers. Who knows?
That wouldn't surprise me either.
That wouldn't surprise me either, the way that Rogers is playing. But Matty Cash did get injured. He went off after a quarter of an hour in the game, and Nedeljkovic came on, Paddy. Not the easiest game you want to be making your debut in the Premier League, but I thought there was an awful lot of promising stuff that he did. I think a couple of times he overran the challenge as such, but the best thing I could say about that is when he did that, his recovery pace was absolutely brilliant. There was only I think maybe twice that he was that Martinelli took him for a right run down, and one of them actually was when was that cross in for Havertz, and Havertz put it wide in the first half. But I thought he did well. I thought he did well. I never doubted him, obviously, when he was coming on, but after 15 minutes against Arsenal, to be sprung from the bench, the mind and probably the body and everything like that isn't ready to come on after 15 minutes. No matter how much warming up you do. But I think fair play to him. I thought he did pretty well now when he came on.
Well, the one thing that struck me, and said it to the people around me, is I hope he doesn't change up his system now by bringing on Diego Carlos and playing Konza right back, which he would have done in the past. Now we have a like-for-like replacement. He can come on and do the same attack and work that Matty Cash does. So he went like-for-like, which I admired. I think it was the right decision to make. And, it's put the kid in a good position in that he knows he's well capable of mixing it with the best of the Premier League. Because let's face it, they're going to be in the top 3 no matter what happens come the end of the season. But it's... I was happy with the decision, and I was happy with how he played.
Yeah. And I meant to say home debut, because I see a couple of people saying, he came on versus West Ham. Yeah, but to make your home Premier League debut, after 15 minutes, the body, he would have known he was coming on probably at some stage, but the body and the mind probably isn't 100% right in that situation. But they get the breakthrough, Paddy. They get the breakthrough on 67 minutes, 2 minutes after we make 2 minutes after Trossard comes on, but 2 minutes after we make a raft of substitutions, taking off Ollie Watkins and John McGinn, and Trossard gets on or ends up, I think, fortuitously. This is the only thing I thought Morgan Rogers did wrong in the game. And if we're talking about Ollie Watkins should have put the ball, pinpoint the ball left and right of a goalkeeper, I think Morgan Rogers needs to put his foot through this ball here as opposed to trying to play it, try to flick it to somebody at the edge of the area. It's like and that I've looked back at that goal so many times and I've gone, we did everything. Like our defensive shape was absolutely brilliant, but when the ball pinballs around the area like that, and 9 times out of 10, what Rogers did is perfect, but the one time he doesn't, Trossard just has the sweetest strike into the bottom corner, and you're 1-0 down. And I think Villa were a small bit shell shocked from that because they were like, "Shit, we've done all the play here." You know, not all the play because we obviously they had more possession, but Villa were like, "We deserve better than this." Like, I think it was a sucker punch to them.
Yeah. Well, first off, I felt for Morgan Rogers because while it was a naive kind of play to try, 9 times out of 10 that doesn't go to Trossard, and it's not a goal. But when you're playing players at this level, that's they're going to punish you. I thought with the substitutions, I thought they were bang on. I probably would have made them 10 minutes earlier. I would have made them 10 minutes earlier. I just felt the game was passing John McGinn by, and obviously Ollie Watkins wasn't having a great day. But I definitely wouldn't be blaming the substitutions for the goal either. They were fairly much like for like, and there wasn't much upheaval within the team. It's just it came and we were unlucky. There's no other pointing fingers at anybody for substitutions or Morgan Rogers for that matter. Naive is the word I'd use. He'll never do that again in his life, and it's all about learning from it. If he doesn't learn from it, then we've got a problem.
And it was difficult because it came to him like in a split second. But see, that's the difference. Like when you're a defender or when you're a striker, those things are amplified an awful lot more. Like when something deflects off to you in midfield, you know, it might happen 3 or 4 games and no one ever remembers it. And that like Morgan Rogers, that deflected off him essentially as much as you could say that he tried to take it in stride or whatever. And I wouldn't be able to do it. There's very few players would even have the presence of mind probably to swing their foot through it. So like we're not trying to blame him for that or anything. Don't get me wrong. It just goes to show that like in the moment we can all look at this back on TV and say, oh yeah, that was the right thing to do or that was the wrong thing to do or whatever the case is. And in this instance here, Trossard did the right thing and stuck his foot through it. And for their second goal, I don't even know where to start for their second goal because we were slow to run out to block it down. Partey has the perfect opportunity to try just bend it around Pau Torres, but the world's number one kind of needs to do better to save that one, to keep that one out. Now, when you see the angle of right behind Thomas Partey when he kicks it, Martinez has no vision, no view of the ball whatsoever. But still, I suppose really like it looks like one of those ones that if you can get your hand to it, you should be able to turn around the corner, and he didn't do it, and that was a real sucker punch, and that came after we made the second raft of substitutions with Barkley and Maatsen come on. I was disappointed with Barkley when he came on, and I know he was only on for 15 minutes or so, but however much the game passed John McGinn by, I thought it completely passed Barkley by. Yeah,
no, there's no question about that. With regards to the second goal, I thought Partey did very well to use Pau Torres as a wall to shield where the ball was going, but there's no excuse for the soft hands. I think he should have been really full stretch at the ready and strong hands to get that around the post, or even knock it out away from goal altogether. I would imagine he had a sleepless night Saturday night thinking about that goal. But then again, the man is an absolute legend. But we're here and we have to call out things when they happen. And I'd like to reiterate the fact, because I'm after getting 2 text messages here saying leave Ollie Watkins alone. That's not what I was trying to do. I was just explaining exactly what went wrong with the 2 missed chances. And the same way with a man who I love and adore, Emi Martinez, he should have done better with the second goal.
Yeah. But like as you said, there was an awful lot of positives in the game. I thought Onana was big, strong and powerful again in the middle of the midfield there.
Tielemans, brilliant.
Yeah. I thought they were. Like, you know, if they keep on playing that way together, my original kind of conversation, remember, before the season started was, I think they're going to have to find a way of McGinn being in this team. Maybe he drops back and takes that Tielemans role. But the two of them are becoming a great foil together, and Tielemans, I think, is becoming a good mentor for Onana within the system. One of the things though that I had seen, remember when we were linked with Onana, and I mentioned that Onana goes to ground in the tackle an awful lot. Like he's the complete opposite to Marvelous Nakamba. Marvelous Nakamba was small, never went to ground, always tackled standing up. Onana is big, tall guy, goes to ground quite a lot to tackle, which is fine, which is absolutely no problem with it. I think it just stands out a small bit more because of the length of him. And why not use those limbs, on the ground? They can be a hindrance for anyone. And he was unlucky. I know his deflected shot is the one who comes back off the bar, where Watkins has to head it as well. But he won a good, from memory, I think won a good few headers in the air as well in midfield. And I feel safe with him in there, Paddy. I think is what I'm trying to say.
They've been a few headers.
I think it's gonna be nice.
Yeah, I look, we'll have an embarrassment of riches when he comes back. To be able to flip between Tielemans in that defensive role, to give people rest, to put Tielemans into a more advanced role if he wants to take McGinn off. There's loads of things we can do once that happens. But I think he's going to be our signing of the summer. I think he's absolutely immense in the air. There's nothing like it. Absolutely nothing like it defensively. Probably should have done better with his one attacking header that he got to. Probably came at it too quickly, maybe, and headed off target. But other than that, there's very little you can say negatively about him at all.
I thought he was really good. Bailey's quiet. Thought Bailey, but then again, I think Bailey was really pushed back. Especially when Nedeljkovic went off, or when Cash went off. I think Bailey was kind of told, okay, you need to marshal this side a small bit more. Didn't really get him forward an awful lot, which at home is un-Bailey like, because what was it last year that he only scored goals at home last year. So fair play to, no, but like as I say, it wasn't that he was bad. It was just that I think that he had to do a couple of different things after Cash went off, which was a shame. But Jacob Ramsey comes on, has another lung-busting run, a great run. This was another one whereby I think Jacob Ramsey, after maybe 5 or 6 games under his belt, probably does better when he gets into the box there. He that last touch he had when he was dribbling into the box goes a mile away from him, and it gives Saliba a chance to come back at him. I think if he had that back, I think he would have slowed down and would have turned and maybe tried to play in the players that were bursting forward. I think it might have been Duran was bursting forward, or else cut inside and maybe have a crack on his right foot. Didn't do anything wrong. It's just the things we're talking about here with players, specifically Ollie Watkins and himself, probably these are guys who haven't an awful lot of preseason under their belts, or in JJ's case missed all of last season. I agree with you, Si. Yeah, he did more defense. That's exactly what I was saying.
One in particular where he found himself in the centre half position, clearing the ball, which was fantastic after they turned over the ball in our box. So, that just shows that the work rate is there. It will come for him, and with the run of games we have ahead, from starting from next week, you would expect it's time for these guys to start to flourish again. So, we've knocked that one out of the way. I just started a comment there. Sorry, Aurelio, I glossed past your earlier comment. I didn't take anything personally about what you wrote on Twitter, so no worries there at all. The fact that everyone was saying it was a statement win for Arsenal shows how far we've come. I think that's huge. You know what I mean? You've got this team, who have been second or third for how many years now, and they're absolutely over the moon after beating us. Now, I know their fans are absolute fucking dickheads on social media. Not all their fans, just the ones that tend to post on social media for some reason. But take absolutely nothing away from them. It was a great win from their behalf. It was an exact turnaround of us winning the 2-0 away from home last season. We probably didn't deserve to win it, and we went to 1-2-0. I feel if we'd have taken those 2 early chances, I don't think they would have got 2 goals. I think we would have shored things up and made it life very, very difficult for them. But there you go. We didn't take them. We lost 2-0. And you can't really have too many complaints about it as a performance. Bearing in mind the opposition, bearing in mind we lost cash early on and had to regroup, I'm happy enough with how we played.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And we've got a big week ahead of us here as well. You know, I as I say, Villa may end up signing no one this week. I'd be a bit surprised if they didn't. I'd be surprised at this stage, probably if defensive reinforcements didn't come in. Again, though, you know, with Cash being out for 4 to 6 weeks, like that's a long period of time. You know, I would be surprised if they didn't shore something up there, considering that that's the one area you probably didn't want someone to get injured in, based on the fact that, you know, that if something happens to Delkovic, or maybe even Unai's mind starts to wander and starts trying to put Kanza back out there, which isn't a bad thing, obviously. You know, but we're just pro Kanza centre back in this podcast because that's where we think he's going to do his best work for this. He's got some great stats as a full back, we know that, but as a centre back, I just feel he performs better for Aston Villa there. I think this probably might force the hand to get something done there, and we'll see what happens.
You'd have to think that the Gertrude rumours still haven't gone away. You'd have to think that it was all about shifting bodies out before you're shifting bodies in. So I'm sure they're working very hard to shift a couple out. I'm not going to mention any names, but Gertrude must be top of the list now if they're going to be missing Matty Cash till maybe mid-October before he's back on the pitch. He would be an obvious replacement and can do a job at right centre back for us as well. You'd have to think that they will probably, if they shift out the players that they want to shift out, they will go with an attacking option as well.
And this is exactly where I was going with. I've always believed, and whenever I put it up on Twitter, I'd love to see this guy at Villa. I'd love to see this guy at Villa. You can be guaranteed the first comment that comes in underneath. I'm not saying anyone's wrong to do this, but the first comment someone will put in underneath is, we need a right back. We're right back away from being a brilliant team. I genuinely in my heart of hearts believe we're a 30-year-old grizzled veteran striker. We need that as well. And I've said it before, a big strapping man doesn't even have to be big strapping, but like, I don't know why I just can't get somebody like Andrzej Milik or Piatek or one of those Polish strikers that just played behind Lewandowski or played up top with Lewandowski. I don't know why I can't
get Lewandowski altogether.
Just go and get Lewandowski altogether, yeah. But somebody like that. And look, as I say, whether they come through the door or not, but who knows? Duran mightn't be here come Friday. Like, Duran might not be here. I'd be very surprised now if he went to this stage. I'd be like absolutely blown away. My mind would actually implode almost if he went to this stage, because I really wouldn't have a clue what was going on with squad building at that. You know, with regards to that, we'll be leaving ourselves way too thin.
Well, I think if we see him go, we see an even bigger class of striker coming in, someone that would spend a lot of money on. And as Mark Wood mentioned in the comment there, Ivan Toney, 1 year left in his contract. I still can't believe there isn't another club that have broken the bank to get him in yet.
Yeah, and well, yeah, you know, Tammy is still knocking about around there. Looks like he might be off to West Ham. West Tammy. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, as I say, it's there will be some mad rumors over the course of the next, and then of course Thursday being the day when the Champions League draw is made, where I'm actually going to go live for that, and do it. I think someone asked me would I do a watch along for that. I think I will. Time dependent, all right, because I need to keep my job as well at the same time. So I think that one will be on during the day. I saw that Dybala, there's no hope in hell you're getting Dybala out of Roma this year. The fans basically went and sucked his toes for half an hour after he turned down Saudi money. He's not going to turn around and go, see ya, I'm off to Birmingham. You know? So I think Dybala is. I think he's going to see out the next year or two anyway at Roma after that. But stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened for sure. For sure. But it's, yeah, there's going to be every time Dick and Harry, I'd say, will be linked over the next course of the next few weeks. I'm still very disappointed that we're not in for Federico Chiesa. Like, his price started off at 50 million at the start of the transfer window. And it's gotten progressively lower and lower and lower. And they're talking about 15 million euros. Even with his injury record, you'd be nuts if you were a team in the Champions League not to go for him. You'd be absolutely, he's nuts. But it seems like his entourage might be very particular on who they want to talk to. And we don't seem to be we've never seemed to want it to have been, or they've never seemed to want to have talked to us, should I say. But whoever gets him for 15 million is going to get a steal. Even if he only plays 25 games a year, 15 million is feck all. That's less than we saw Cameron Archer for.
Yeah. That's it.
No,
I agree with you there. At that money, I think it's a steal. But look, it's an important few days. I've no idea what time the Champions League draw on. It's normally around midday, isn't it?
Yeah, it normally is. And it normally takes like 15 hours to fucking complete as well. Remember last year? It took forever. But we'll go live for it and we'll figure it out.
To a crock of shit talk going on before it actually happens. So
one of the most insightful men I've ever watched like that. Yeah, well, and put it this way, I will put everyone on pause. If Clarence Seedorf is talking, I'll put everyone on pause because that man knows so much about the game of football. It's incredible. And if you ever get a chance to listen to him, and plus, not only is he one of the most underrated footballers of all time, just listening to him, he's got his head screwed on about the game, Clarence. One of my sneaky all-time favorites, and probably being one of my all-time 11s if I was to put him in there. I just love the way he played the game of football. But that's a conversation for another day, for sure. It's 5 p.m. our time. The lads are saying here
on Thursday. They say,
yeah, it's on Thursday.
Yeah, all right, not too bad.
That's not too bad as well.
I'd rather listen to Seedorf than Alexander Seferin anyway, that's for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. But don't get me started on Alexander Seferin. I think I'm on record of calling him the world's biggest coward. But anyway, and we won't relitigate that. It's one of those few times I went on an absolute. I was angry ranting. One of the few times.
I think we're pronouncing his name wrong. I think his name is Alexander Suffering because every time you've got to listen to him, you're suffering.
Yeah, maybe so. Right, I don't think I don't know. Is there much more to talk about with regards to that game? John McGinn tried to start a scrap. Kind of like that. if you can't win, go fight. No, when Ben White, or what was it, who went down and John McGinn booted the ball off him, and then Ben White came in and booted the ball off John McGinn.
What I couldn't figure out there is, what was the free kick given for? Was the free kick given for John McGinn kicking the ball off someone?
No, the free kick was given before that, but like it was a dubious enough free kick. Foul. I think that's what it was. Yeah. What did you make Michael Oliver, Paddy?
Didn't think I've no complaints about refereeing decisions other than that one. You brought it up. McGinn did actually have a go off Mikel Arteta as well in the technical area, which was quite funny. But look, I probably think Michael Oliver is one of the better ones. Didn't get an awful lot or anything wrong as far as I was concerned. Apart from that one, just puzzled me a little bit. And maybe he gave it for a pull of the short from was it Ollie Watkins? Can't remember.
Yeah, it was. It was Watkins was definitely over there as well. Yeah, but yeah. Look, the reason I brought up Michael Oliver there was because I thought he was relatively anonymous, and that's exactly how we want it. You know, there was no massive VAR call. Yeah, can't. Now, oh yes, Paddy, it would be remiss to say, and look, neither of the two of us were in the stadium at the time, in the stadium, but we know of a lot of people who were, and, you know, in 2024, to have rivers of piss coming out of the toilets, like, I don't know, you might get at a GAA match here where you pay £7 in or whatever, and you're watching maybe some Junior B county semi-final or something like that. It would be used to around here, but you know, not when you're paying 55 quid into Villa Park. It's a simple thing, you know, little things there, like, you know, I think who was it that had it up, or who said it? Matt Kendrick, I said it. You know, he was inside in the Jackson. There was still posters up from advertising Foo Fighters in June. So it looks like and I know there was a lot going on. I know they were trying to get the whole stadium up to speed, and there was some things that weren't finished. I saw somebody put in here to say that their new seat wasn't even there when they got to the game.
Really?
So, like, the club, the communications from the club, if there is any over the course of the next week, we want to be on point. I think people, I think it would be wise, should I say, of the club to release something and say that there was operational issues at the weekend, even if it's something as vague as that, and that the club understands where they're coming from and whatever. But like, urinals shouldn't be blocking up everywhere.
No,
it wasn't as if it was just the ones in the North Stand or wherever, but it seemed to be everywhere. That's all. And the queues were avoidable. We spoke about tickets. I actually got quite a lot of DMs about the pre-match game, telling me, "What are you doing talk about tickets for all the time?" And look, I think we were justified in it at this stage, because it wasn't the cleanest rollout. I think it's fair to say the queues were long. Queues were long for everything, and then some of the and the facilities weren't up to scratch. So
look, with regards to the ticketing, we all saw that coming. And it's not an Aston Villa problem. This has happened everywhere this has been rolled out. It's a difficult one. I thought it might have been a bit better because it was at 5:30. You could have got people into the ground earlier. There was some reports that the gates weren't open in the whole an hour before kickoff, whether that was an issue with scanning tickets in. But this is money the club are leaving behind, because if you're getting someone into the ground an hour and a half before, they are going to spend money.
Yeah.
You have to spend money.
Yeah.
So with the toilet issue, I thought it was pretty poor. I'm sure it'll be something that'll be looked at very quickly. I have an issue with the toilets in general. The last thing I want to be doing is going into the toilet, which is full of cigarette smoke either. But that seems to happen on every game as well, rather than people going outside to the designated areas. But they're not manned. There's nobody there to have a look and see what's going on. And maybe that's an impossibility with the amount of work that needs to be done. But I would imagine they've got 3 weeks to sort this out. I don't think they will. I've no doubt that they will.
Yeah. A couple of people saying that there was an issue with security. That security were late showing up to these little operational things. And I think, was it Dan Ronaldson made a great point on Claret and Blue as well. And they will always probably put it more eloquently than we did. Yeah, no security indoors, but they'll probably put it more eloquently. And he made a great suggestion that didn't even cross my mind. Even open training session in Villa Park. Make sure that you get 10,000 people in there using the app. Make sure that the app works correctly. It's scanning things correctly. There was no trial run of this. And I understand that the club were to the pin of their collar. There were even rumours that the club, I don't know how true these were, they were on Twitter, that the club actually had asked for this for the first 2 games to be away from home, and then for a home game then to be our 3rd game of the season. However true that is, I don't know. But they were still painting the tunnel the night before, as well, which is fine. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. Jesus, we've all been there, when you're struggling just before, literally before doors open for an event and stuff like that. So I have no problem with them doing work up to the second. Just the trialing of new technology for me seems like something somebody should have done and had even 10,000 people come in for a walkthrough or whatever like that of the stadium, albeit not finished. Maybe they couldn't do that because there's so many workmen around the place or whatever. I don't know, but that's one thing. And then the other thing is, unless the toilets were storm blocked with builder's rubble or something like that, which shouldn't have happened in the first place. If that wasn't happening to that extent last year, shouldn't have been happening in the first game of the season as well. And I think that's fair enough to say too. But
we've got to be fair. We don't know what was thrown into the toilet by even a fan. So,
but it was all around the stadium. That's the thing for me. So that makes me think that the system was actually blocked. And the only thing I could think of was that it was maybe wash away from storm debris from the building work that ended up in the system somewhere. That's the only thing I can think of. Once again, I don't know what the crack is.
The more pressing issue is the security issue. If the security didn't turn up, that's very worrying.
That's really worrying, yeah.
When you're outsourcing something like that, you want to be safe at matches. You don't want anybody bringing in something that they shouldn't be bringing in. So that is a worry for me. Apparently, in the comments there, it says they did turn up eventually, and that was just because of that. It was a knock-on effect as well. Look, I'm sure everything will be right in 3 weeks' time. I'm hopeful anyway. We really couldn't go into Champions League with those kind of issues. So I'm hoping everything is sorted before then.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes a very valid point as well about people didn't have their tickets downloaded. You know, that's the bloody obvious thing. If you're going up to the stadium, which notoriously doesn't have telephone coverage, the last thing you want to be doing is downloading something to your Apple Wallet.
Yeah, and that's where I was getting at with regards to if you had an open session that was only available to season ticket holders, open training session, and then maybe Unai spoke on the field afterwards, and maybe there was a meet and grow up with a couple of players that were there, or whatever the case may be, you know. So something like that, just to get, instead of getting people into this club shop. But I know that they were working right up until like fucking 11 o'clock that morning trying to get the stadium ready, and that's completely understandable. Whether you know, that was the right way to do it or not, I don't know. But you could probably have had 10,000 people somewhere in the stadium, because not all seats were removed from the stadium. If I'm right in saying that, you could have had them. Maybe if you say, right, so we've got 20,000 season ticket holders. Okay, we're not going to be opening the hold. We're not going to be opening another stand that isn't ready, but we're going to pop you in either side stand, and then we're going to have Unai give a rousing speech, and you know, off out then to wherever you can come onto the field. And I don't know what you could have done and what you couldn't have done there, because I don't know what the state, what class of a building site the ground was, but makes sense.
Yep, sure does.
Right, I think we're going to go, Paddy, because my voice is about to go. It only just came back this morning. I have vague recollections of listening to the world's greatest jazz band, whoever the hell they were, inside a pub called the Blue Note in Galway, and I couldn't even tell you what words they were singing, but I seem to know them all anyway. At that time of the night, anyway.
I'd say you would have said mass at that stage. I'd say
absolutely, yeah. But so I'm going to leave you all, guys, and we're going to finish it up on that. How we got 42 minutes out of it, I don't think I'll ever know. But thanks a million to everybody for joining us. Yeah, so we have a busy week ahead of us. Anything that breaks over the course of this week for transfer window point of view, I'll pop on. I'll do a piece on them. I'm back to kind of more the land of the living and more from a family point of view. There isn't a whole pile going on at the moment, you know, with regards to people being away and stuff like that. So I'll be a lot more available. And then obviously we'll have the Champions League on Thursday. We'll have pre-matches, and we'll probably do a transfer window deadline special as well, maybe. We'll see what the crack is there. But yeah, you'll be sick of us. You'll be sick of us anyway at that stage, for sure.
And then we'll have an international break to recharge the batteries and get ready for the next assault on the Premier League, which I'm hoping starts with Leicester this weekend.
Exactly, 100%. So on that note, everybody, look, it wasn't our day on Saturday, but a lot of positives picked from that, and I'm sure Unai will be able to pick people up that need picking up, and we'll get back on the road again this weekend coming. Thanks a million, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.